Hi folks, it's Buckley here. I'm going to show you a couple things about using a reference manager and creating a bibliography. This is going to be useful for activity 4, which is your 4-paragraph essay, which we're asking you to reference with primary references. So let's start off by looking at the document that we want to reference. So I'm going to use an example that I've continued from the literature search. This is on sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. So let's just say that this is the first part of a paragraph that I'm writing for my essay. So sudden infant death syndrome is the unexplained death of an infant less than 1 year of age. That's pretty generic knowledge, so I probably won't need to cite that. That's something that you could just pick up from, a common web search, right? So there's no specific information there that needs to be cited necessarily. The next statement, though, approximately 3,500 cases of SIDS occur annually. I'm pulling that from a very specific site, right? And we've already talked about what counts as a primary reference. So no Wikipedia here, folks. You got to go back and actually look in the literature, the primary literature. We're talking about journal articles, right, that are being used to come up with these numbers. So the article that I used to come up with this number is actually this one here, and this was one of the ones that I showed you on the search. So this is by an author named Moon, and it's in the journal Pediatrics. So I'm here right now on a PubMed, right, and I'm seeing this link in PubMed. If I want to get the actual full text version, I would click through. You need to make sure that you're on the University of Delaware server on the network in order to access some of these full text links. So right now I'm actually doing this work from off campus, so I actually have VPN'd in. Okay, so we have a VPN software that you can install, which would basically put you on the UD network in a secure way. So know that you won't be able to access some full text articles without having a VPN connection. All right, so, but if you're doing this from the dorms, you should be fine, okay? All right, so let's say that I got myself this paper, all right, and I've downloaded it, and here it is in PDF version here. Okay, so this is the actual paper, all right, and I want you guys to pay attention here to how things are cited in the paper. So we're basically asking you to pretend like you're writing the start to a scientific paper, right? And if I'm to read through this here, this paper here has these little numbers. These numbers here correspond to references. So let's pick one out, all right? So let's look at this sentence here. SIDS is a subcategory of SUID, and it is a cause assigned to infant deaths that cannot be explained after a thorough case investigation, including autopsy, a scene investigation, and a review of clinical history. So this is a bit of a somber topic here, but that reference there was reference number 4. So if I go to the end of the article here, all the way at the end, if I were to read all this, okay, all the way at the end, you're going to see some references. I'm actually going to just pull this down. This is a rather long article. This is called a review article, which can be a really good source of information. Okay, so reference number 4 is by this guy, Willinger et al., defining the sudden infant death syndrome from 1991. So that's the reference. And you'll notice that these references are in order, right? So we're using a standard format here. This is a standard format used in medical journals where you're basically citing. So citation number 1 is going to be the first reference in the bibliography, 2, second reference, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the way to the end. And you can see since this is a very comprehensive article, again, it's called a review article. So my goodness, this guy's got 400 references in this paper. We do not expect 400 references from you. However, we do expect you to use the proper formatting. So these citations were pulled together using what's called a reference manager. There's no way to manage 400 separate references or citations without using a reference manager. So the sooner you guys can get some practice using a reference manager, the better. Now, we know for this assignment that you're able to use maybe reference managers or bibliography creating software that you've used in high school. One of the more common applications is EGGG101. So here's EGGG101 here. Okay, so if I wanted to cite this Moon paper in EGGG101, I'm just going to type it in. So Moon, RY, this is SIDS. Let's see if it can actually find it. So EGGG101, A is slow, B only gives you the formatted citation. It does not give you a bibliography. Let's see, it's having trouble. Actually, it's been a long time since I've used EasyBib. There's a lot more advertising going on here. Okay. All right, EasyBib has already crashed on this. So if you can find the Moon article on EasyBib, send it to me. Otherwise, I'm not able to even use it with EasyBib. Okay, so EasyBib has a limited number of formats that you can do. This is MLA 8, and it's only going to give you essentially the formatted reference. It's not going to go in and add those little numbers. And those numbers can be important. Imagine that you're creating a bibliography and you're changing around where you want to put specific sentences. It could be really tricky to then go and have to change your entire bibliography, right? So for writing papers at the college level, we really recommend bibliographic software, okay? And the one that I'm going to show you how to use is RefWorks, okay? And there's plenty of tutorials online for how to use RefWorks, but let's start with where to get it. So RefWorks is available through the University of Delaware. RefWorks is a web-based citation manager. You can go ahead and follow the steps here. If you look up RefWorks UDel, this is the first link that it'll take it to, and then you can go and create an account here. Okay, where it goes to from there is it's actually going to take you to your own RefWorks account, and you can see this here, right? So I'm logged in as myself, all right, and then I'm just kind of showing you a couple things that you can navigate through. There's all kinds of folders, right? So I have several folders here, and I'm working in a folder that's just this SIDS demo. Now, if I wanted to add references to this collection, so basically what you're doing is you're creating a set of references that have been uploaded into RefWorks, which you can then go ahead and add into a document. So you need a couple other things in order to do that. Next thing that I'm going to need is I need to tell whatever software that I'm writing my document in to use RefWorks to create citations. So the way that I'm going to do that is I actually go to Insert. It's going to look a little different on a PC, but I would do an add-in, and then you can see here I've installed RefWorks Citation Manager. So the UDel system is going to tell you how to work through that, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go to my last, or to the folder that has the references that I need. Okay, so there's the two Moon papers. The first one, the one that I showed you, this article here, right? This is SIDS and other sleep-related infant deaths, evidence base for 2016 updated recommendations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's this one right here. So let's say that paper is what I'm using to say there are 3,500 cases of SIDS annually. I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm going to hit Cite This. Okay, and you can see it's doing some work in the document. It's already added this to my references, right? While causes of SIDS are unknown, SIDS can be mitigated by placing infants on their back to sleep and removing pillows and blankets from the crib. Okay, so I'm going to also, that one, I'm going to cite another Moon paper. This Moon guy was very prolific on SIDS, and I'm going to cite that there. Okay, you can see it's automatically formatting, and there you go, it's updated this too. The beautiful thing is, if I wanted to add in again, let's say that I wanted to cite this same paper, it's going to not duplicate that reference down here. So it's very smart. Whoops, and I put that in the wrong place. I want to put it after this. Okay, so little mistakes like that, it can fix it. It knows not to duplicate things, right? Okay, let me pretend that I want to add in another reference here. Okay, so if I want to talk about this public health campaign, here we are with Moon again. This Moon guy is like crazy, all right? So let's say that I want to add this in to this sentence here. Rates of SIDS have decreased due to general public health campaigns for new parents as well as specific provider interventions for vulnerable populations. Okay, I want to cite this article. I've read it. I know this has got the information that I want to put in that sentence, that I want to reference in that sentence. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Send To, and each different search engine that you're using is going to have a slightly different way of downloading these references, right? So there's a lot of content in these references. So I'm going to download it to a citation manager, and I'm going to create a file, save the file, and I'm going to go back to RefWorks, and I am going to upload that from the file. Getting a lot of windows open here. And I'm going to pull this in and pull it in that way. Okay. All right, now that I'm going to tell it that I want it in that folder for this demo. Okay, and if my stars are aligned, that should also show up here. Sometimes I have to refresh the folder. All right. Okay, so I want to cite this one right there. There we go. It's thinking. And there's my third reference. Okay. So this is the proper way to insert citations. Okay. This document will travel, or these references will travel with the document, so that makes it more stable. If I were to shift these around, that would it would track it for me, and it would adjust my references. If I wanted to reformat my references, let's say that my professor or the journal that I was submitting this to wanted my my authors in alphabetical order instead of by the order in which they're cited. Obviously, because Mr. Moon here, Dr. Moon, has authored everything, that wouldn't be that hard for this particular example, but you can imagine if you have a lot of references and you would need to change from citing in order of appearance in the text versus citing in alphabetical order, you'd have to do a lot of formatting to fix that. Okay, so citation managers are particularly useful, even if you don't wind up using it for this assignment. If you do EasyBib, A, good luck to you on EasyBib. B, if you wind up using something like EasyBib, just put this in your memory banks that these types of bibliographic managers do exist, and they can be very useful for some of the work that you're going to do here in college. All right, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in class very shortly.